Sprite, animation, green screen effect, Explaindio 2.0.
Are you ready to tear it up? Make some noise!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Explaindio Video Creator 2.0, getting started using animated slides and sketch together on the work canvas. My name is Rick Neal from ProSlidePacks.com, and my job today here is to get you started and show you around the interface so you can use the slides you get in your monthly, as well as coming up with your own creations and using the sprite animation and full text drawing right here in Explaindio Video Creator 2.0. Okay, so let me show you how to get in here. Now, Explaindio 2.0 works similar to the way 1.0 did as far as starting a project. You create your project and give it a name as you would normally. Okay. Now you want to click on the plus sign. Right here are your options. Create new sketch scene or add a sketch scene from your personal library. Now, if you create a intro and outro that is pretty much the same, you may need to change the background or add a few elements, but pretty much, intro and outro starts off the same, which is, basic information in there. Well, what you can do is you can actually save a scene so that outro will be there, or intro, and you can load it in, and then that can be your starting point. So that way you have the same intro, same outro. Or if you make different videos and then you want to put your outro on it, save it as a scene. Then you can just, once you're done, you can just load it up. Boom, it's right there. That way, if you need to add information to it, if you need to put your SMS call to action on there, like text Andrew at 71441, which doesn't exist right now. But anyway, that way you could add that instantly without having to rebuild the slide over and over and over again. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay, so we're here in the work canvas. Looks like the sketch canvas. Yes, it does, but it is not. Well, kind of. You do everything in here. We're calling this the work canvas. This area within the box is what we'll display on the screen. This area out here is what I call a pasteboard, generally in animation programs, where this is where you can stage stuff. So if you wanted to have something have the clock, start off the screen and come flying into the screen, or if you've seen some of the other videos where the fish comes on and moves around and goes back off. This is off screen, this is on screen. This is how you stage this. Okay, so to get through the basics, we're going to talk about the animated slides that you get in your monthlies. So come right down here to add animation slide, and you get a familiar box. Add Explaindio slides, which are the slides you get in your monthlies. Add flash animation, which would be like the character SWFs or any other widgets that may make designs on your screen, or add interfacing or whatever. That's how you would load this. But now we're talking about the slides. So here is the box that you are normally used to seeing. And so, go in here and just pick your slide the way you normally would. And here's what you see. You have a few additional options. Now, what you are witnessing is the fact that, yes, you can actually sketch a slide into being. So if you don't want that to happen, though, you can click on Don't Sketch and it won't. Okay, it won't do it for you. But you could sketch this on the screen. So let's click on here. And now, understand that you just load the slide. Here you are. You got these boxes around here where you could actually move the slide around. Yes, you can. And using the zoom wheel on your mouse, look at that. Look at that. So you can zoom it in and zoom it out. And right here is the Add Animation button, where I'm going to quickly show you how that you can click on that button and it adds animation. So now what's going to happen is, for 24 frames, it's going to start here and move to here. Now with this particular slide, it doesn't really make sense to do that, but that is how you do it. We'll be getting back to that. I just want to make sure you can get through the walkthrough so you can get started working and do your thing. So now that you have this slide loaded, you want to close the canvas, because what you could do from this point forward is you could add some text, right, and put this text right on top of the screen. Okay, my company presents. So what's going to happen is the slide's going to play, and then at the end, this is going to appear. So we're going to close the canvas, and of course it's playing that because I'm on that frame. So let's look at the whole scene. So look at there. I'm sketching a slide into being. Okay, there it is. And then there's the high. And after everything is over, the text shows up. Now, you know, we still have the hand issue, so what I would do on the slides is, if I wanted to sketch, I would just sketch them without the hand. That's just my way of doing it. And then sketch the other with the hand so that you can get the effect that you're looking for. And fret not, people. See right there, I just didn't turn on the draw full fill text, but check it out. It does exist. It exists. It is live. That's right. It does draw it filled. So the slide is doing its thing, and then the text is popping up. Okay. I can have that happen in reverse. But before I get too far into the animation, you say, well, you know, that's cool and everything else, but how do I change the text and add pictures and all that kind of stuff into the slides like I used to do? Because I don't see those controls on the screen. Fret none, young whippersnapper. We do have an answer. So click on the panel where the slide is, right? And then click on slide right here. Then you check this button, customize this animation. Voila. Here is the screen that you know and love, where you can put your text, images, video, animation, and outline changes right in here, just like it always was, just like it will ever be, or it is for now. So that's how you do that change. You want to get out of here, get closed. Now you're back to the main menu. Now understand that with a slide, you have this inner menu that allows you to control the actual slide. But once you're out here, this is where your action before and action after exists. And you see that I have two things happening here, right? Now, if for whatever reason I move this slide off the screen, then any background video that I have playing throughout the whole thing would then be revealed, right? So, and the other thing you need to consider, which is something pretty slick, is that you can now use elements from a slide as part of a sketch animation. Let me say that again. You can use elements, animated elements. You can basically take the slide, remove the background, and then sketch some stuff, play the slide, and then sketch some more stuff, you know. So it looks like it's just one fluid motion. So let's just look at this, what we have so far right now as a reference. Okay, so she gets drawn in there. I'm going to turn the drawing off so we can make this a little bit faster so we don't have to wait so long. All right, so she pops in, everything else, does her thing, shows her name, gets out of there, and then this text is drawn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an underline under her name, and then have this company information presented on the screen. But I'm also going to stop her from leaving the screen so that everything is on here together. Okay, so here's how we do that. Now I want this text to start first and then have her do her thing, and then I'm going to underline her name. So I need to change the order of operations. So I need to put the text over here so that it draws first, then have her come on. But there's a problem. So watch what happens here. I'm drawing the text. Now one thing happens after another. So she's sketching on. Now when he's fully on, now you can't see the text, right? Because this background is in the way. Not a problem. Click on the slide. Click on the slide tab. Customize this animation. And remember, generally all slides created for Explaindio, and remember, a slide is a specially configured SWF that is renamed VFS and is designed to work with Explaindio. Most of those slides, the first outline area is the background. So see what I've done here? I've just knocked out the background. So what's going to happen, and in the outline panel, outline area number 1, generally in all slides, is the background. You can turn that off here. Okay, going back to the scene preview, this is the first one. I'm putting the text in there. And then now she's sketching in. Now before, the background blocked everything, but now she's still there and her animation is still working. You still see my sketch. See, now, so I'm actually building up the screen by using sketch elements and slide elements. And so if you, like, I have slides that are lower thirds, but they had a background back there because I had the video going in the background, so that you can have your video pop up and my lower thirds pop in. Or other people had things happening on the screen. Scott has some stuff where things come out and go back in, everything else. Now you can sketch on the screen, have these things play their animation, and then if they stay on the screen, have other things happen after the fact, like circling different things or underlining or whatever. Only thing that we can't do is once it stops its animation, you can't move it off the screen. But there's a trick for that too. But this is not the day for that trick, people. So one more time. It starts with the text, and then now the slide is going to come in, be sketched in. I'm going to turn it off right now so we can move faster. This animation happens, and yet you can still see the original sketched item. So I want her to just come on in. No delay. And then right here where it says Jenny, I want her to stop. Remember, I just said that all animated slides are SWFs. There's, was a little bit of controversy about the delay slide view button slider thing, where you could slide that and the slide stop at frame 60 actually, and then it went on, and a lot of times that really wasn't the spot you needed to stop, because it stopped animation in progress before it actually wiped all the way on the screen. Well, no more, because right here you have 5 options. And what you can do here is just say that I want her to play to the end and then stop. Now see where she says hi, I can have her stop there for a while if that bubble had a lot of information in it. So let's just put the pause in, and I'm gonna give it 90 frames. 24 frames equals 1 second. So I'm putting in 90 frames in here. And then I'm gonna just say that animation happens somewhere around 16 frames. So let's see what happens. See, that was a pretty good guess. See, now I got high staying there for a longer period of time, then it goes up. Now just watch it again. See, high has no delay right now, so boom, it just happens. Now I put this pause back in here. Check it. See, I got some delay time. High is still sitting there. If I wanted the message to be read a little bit longer or something, or if something else was happening, I can delay it. Now when she comes in at with the I'm Jenny, I can delay that and make it hold on the screen. But what I'm going to do eventually is I'm just going to cut the slide so that it stops when she comes on the screen and doesn't allow the end animation to play, which takes them off. But let me just see how close I can get to the Hi, I'm Jenny part. So at frame 51, I'm going to put in 90 frames. And 90 frames, let's see, that's 90 frames divided by 24 frames a second, 3.75. So 3.75 seconds is going to it's going to stop here for 3.75 seconds. So let's see. Do I know my math or not? So now that's the first one. Okay, so, and her internal animation keeps her winking and waving. You know, she just stays in place. Now she's moved up. Now let's see if okay, well, I didn't get far enough in or something to stop her at the end. So since it's 129 frames total, which is what it says right here, let me get closer to that and see if I can keep her on the screen. Don't go away. Just stay. Okay, let's see. Almost there. Almost there. All right, now she's going to stay there for 92 frames, where she would normally be gone by now. See? And then it goes away. What I want to do is I want to keep her right there and just end the animation for the frame, because if I add anything else after that, it will pause there for whatever length of time I set, then it'll go away, then the other thing will happen, because things are happening one at a time. We're Explaindio Video Creator is a single threaded application written in Adobe Air. Coming up in the next few months to several months, the multi-threaded coding for Explaindio Video Creator 2.0 is going to be tested, and then they're going to roll out what they can. What needs to happen, though, just so you understand what's going on, is that, and this happens with any other programming. I do C# programming, and this is basically what the process is that you want to make sure that you get the basic functionality down and working, and then you can incorporate the multi-threading part. See, if it had been written for multi-threading from the beginning, then you'd have a different workflow. But now you're trying to take a single threaded application and then make it do multiple things at the same time, which takes some tweaking and performance enhancements. And it's not like it's impossible, it's just a little time consuming. So just hold on, and then you'll have some kind of timeline like methodology or whatever Andrew comes up with. That's not something I can speak on because I'm not on the team. I'm here explaining what we got in front of our faces, which is Explaindio 2.0. But the point is that things happen one after the other. You know, one after the other. So this is just a way for you to build up a display, because the one thing unique about animated slides is that they can have multiple items moving at the same time. So this is something that slide creators should be thinking about, and I've been playing around with and toying with some different ideas where you can anticipate that people will sketch stuff on the screen, play an animated slide, sketch some other stuff, or play another animated slide before they sketch again. And all these things can build upon the last one on your screen. Okay, so long-winded, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that you had some understanding here. So let's go back to this. And if we play the whole scene, you'll see that now my text gets drawn on the screen, and then the slide plays, and my text is not erased. And then she has that pause there before she pops up, and then this is Jenny. Now she's going to stay on the screen. She's not going away. Uh-oh. She did go away. Okay, so the reason that happened was that she stopped right here where I wanted her to pause, but since I didn't cut the frames down to that same point, she got away from me. So I'm going to make sure I keep her on lockdown this time around. All right, now I can turn this pause off and keep the first one. So I want that first one to stop, and then she can come to this one where she's going to stay. So my company presents. There she is. Yeah, high back. Now she's going to come up and stop right there. See, now I could have added some delay so I wouldn't get the replay scene, because this is basically the end. All right, so cool. Now what I want to do is I want to underline I'm Jenny. So I'm going to come back out here. I'm starting off on where the animation ended, where the animated slide is. Okay, now I'm going to add a sketch image and go down here, get this one. That's cool. And right about here is where it is. So I'm going to approximate this. I'm going to play it one time. Then when I come back in, I'll be able to see it. So let's play the scene. Okay, a little bit up and over, so I can just that's really not the one that should be there. I prefer this one really, to me. Okay, so over here in this area, I'm going to bring this one in. Then I'm going to click on this and click on delete. Now, where I need to be. So let's see. Yep, so that works out really well. So now if I play the whole scene, my company presents. Hi. And remember, I have the delay there. Then this is Jenny, and that gets underlined. Then I can have the website address pop up right here, right after it, and on and on and on. So I'm gonna do the website, and then I'm gonna move on. So here is the website. Okay, and so their website needs to be in block bold letters. So they said, I can't use that default stuff. Give me some ash. Ash? I said, okay, ash. So pay attention right here. Import fonts. Well, you can import your TTFs or true type fonts. So let me click on here and browse, see if I can find some ash. And ash is a nice block text. I mean, it is good. I like it. I'm not an ash hater, not by any means. Okay, start to import, and then we are done. Now I can choose, and when you look down the list, you can see your imported fonts have the double asterisk or double dots next to it. So let's hit ash, and there it is. Let me reduce it down. That's a big ash. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's good block letter. You'll be able to see that good. So size it up. Alright, so what I wanted this to do is I wanted to rise up the screen after this draws. Okay, so it's going to rise up the screen after this draws. So reduce it down there, click on add animation, and then now this is the end result. So it's going to go from here to here in this many frames. So 24 frames, 1 second. I want it to pop a little bit. I'm just going to put 12 is a half a second. I'm going to try 10. I want to just go boom. So okay, now see, here's the problem that I have and still have sometimes, is that why was it delayed, right? Here's why. Because what it did was it sketched out here and then went up. What doesn't make any sense because you can't see it sketching. So what do? You're on that frame, you go to action before, see, sketch by hand, it should be on nothing, and remove this time, boom, see, it flies right on up. So these are some of the things that you need to be aware of. Don't freak out, don't say, I don't know what's wrong. It's simple. This thing is simple. This thing works really well. And when the more creative you are and the more you think your process through, the better things are going to be. So look what we got going on here. We have text that I sketched, then we have a animated slide template, then I draw a sketch line on the template and fly some text in under that, all in the same thing. So just check this out. Complete scene. Alrighty then, boom. Okay, so everything worked there. Now understand that all this here is one scene. Come over here to scene. Now it just stopped, so I like it to fade out. Okay, so this is where you can use the action before, action duration, let it fade over 2.5 seconds. And some people might be saying, okay, well, you knocked the background out of the slide. Are we always going to have, whiteboard with white background? No, you can add some video or an image if you like. So let me go down here to where the Explaindio stuff is and look in the monthly folder for a nice background for our girl here. And let's just put some drops behind her. That's really not long enough. Let's try this one. So that really doesn't work well for the text, but so let's click on the text tab. I can't see my text because it's in black. So let's make it red. All right, for that one. And then the switch line is no problem there, but this is going to be a problem because it's coming up black. Let's make it yellow. And let's put a strong shadow behind it. Okay, now that we have a video that's running for the duration of the scene, all 4 of these frames, excuse me, let's see what masterpiece we have now. So the video is running under first sketched text. Now the slide is playing and running its animation. That pause is still there, give me a chance to read. And now Jenny's going to be underlined because she's excellent. And my text flies right on up. And then everything fades into the background. So that was pretty slick. All done with a mixture of texting and animated slides in the new Explaindio 2.0. Just quick, just boom, done. You can take all your elements that you've used and just kind of piece them together. Okay, so now that I have the website there, I'm fading out the scene. What I really don't have to, what I could do is I could crossfade or fake transition, is what I'm calling it, to another slide, right? To continue the action. So just say that, now granted, if I create another scene, yeah, it's just gonna be like anything else where it just goes from one to the other. So let me just create another scene with an animated slide. So this is really not new. It's just gonna go right across. I'm not gonna sketch it. I just want to show you the example. Okay, so there it is. So now if I preview everything, then this is the initial part, and then it's gonna just jump to the guy, right? But what I was talking about is have another slide basically fade in on top of all of this, so that way it's not cut action, see, so it fades and then he pops up. But why not just have it fade straight to him instead of fading to white and then him? That's what I'm getting at. So instead of putting him there, just come to this slide, click on add animation. See, I'm at the end of this. Actually, I'm at this frame here where this is the line drawn. This is the text that comes up. After that, what I want to happen is another whole slide to just fade in on top of all of this. So I'm going to come here to Explaindio slide, bring my construction guy up. There he is right there. And I'm going to add it without any sketching. Now, see, the trick is this, is that on the other slide, we knocked the background out so that we had sketching on the screen, then the elements of the slide appeared, then we had the line sketched on, then we had this thing fly up, right? So now what's creating our fake transition is that we're going to bring in a slide that has a background that's going to cover everything. Because remember, as you're stacking stuff going down the timeline, the next thing is always on top of the last thing, okay? So we're in the work canvas area. We're going to close the canvas. What we need this to do is fade in. So we're going to go action before and choose fade in. And let's fade it in over a second and a half, 2 seconds maybe. Now remember, since I made him part of the overall scene, this is not going to fade. It would just normally cut if we didn't do this fade in. But let's see how the whole thing looks. Alright, sketched on the video background under the whole scene. Here's the animated slide coming in with this delay right there, so you can see this bubble a little bit longer. Then she pops right on up, and I give her an underline because she's outstanding, and then my website pops up. Now the other slide just fades right on in on top there, and the action continues on. Now that's cool. And then everything fades out. See that? And to me, that fade was just a little long. So that was 2.5 seconds. I just wanted to just come up, just boom. So here's, I'm doing 0.8, which is a little bit more than a half a second. Do I even want it that long? Okay, 0.6. Let's try it again. Now it's just gonna come right on up, boom. I don't want it to just pop in like it's a cut. I want it to be a nice, a quick fade. So there she is getting her underline, and then the website comes up, and now we should be going right into it. Okay, the delay before the fade is on the website text. So let's see if I can get rid of some of that timing. So action after is 2.5 seconds. So you want to see it for just at least a second. And then, so I'm adjusting the action after on the frame that has this text in it, because that's coming up and it was making you wait before the next action happens, which is this slide coming in. So let's reduce the amount of time you have to wait for that to a second. If you want to read my website, you do want to go there to my site, so you gotta have that happening. Now we can draw sketch the text on. Here's the animated slide doing this thing with the background knocked out so that you can see the animation but not cover up what's behind it. The video behind it is playing throughout the whole scene. Here's the underline, and the text flies up for just 1 second, then boom, action continues right on. And it wouldn't make any sense because of what I'm trying to do here, but you could have knocked that background out and added to the below part if it made sense to you. But what we're trying to do here is come up with a pseudo type transition that goes from one set of actions to another. And these things can be combined because animated slides and sketching are all individual actions that happen one after another, but you can combine them to do some really nice things. And that's pretty slick right there. See, that's the animation that works for me. And then when the guy waves his hand, he's still on the screen. See, he doesn't leave the screen. So what you could do with him is that you can just show that he's a timely worker, right? So you can put this, so he's gonna move over here, that message is gonna display, this is gonna fade out, then this can fly right in. So it looks like it's continuing the action, but this was not part of the original slide, but you can add this action to keep it flowing. So let's check it out. Notice that on the end here, the add animation. So we're outside of the viewable area. We're out on the pasteboard. I'm gonna click here and then move this into here, and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. So from here to here is 24 frames or 1 second. I like the things to pop a little bit. I'm gonna make this 10 frames, just shy of half a second, which will be 12. So from here to here, it's gonna come in, boom. And then what I wanted to do is flip. So I'm gonna add another point, hit flip horizontal, and then stack them right on top of one of them. It looks like it's gonna be standing there. It'll come out and then it'll flip. And I want to flip quickly, so I'm going to make this 8. Then I'm going to add one more point, and I'm going to shrink this down and put the clock up in the corner like it normally would be in the office. And it's going to shrink down and move up there over the course of 24 frames or 1 second. That's probably going to be slow, but let's check it out and see what we got. Okay, now see that same problem that I have got to remember the action before needs to be nothing for no length of time so that it just pops on in and does its thing. Okay, and that was pretty slick. See there? Pops on in, does its thing. So now, what's going to happen is, let me see, I want this to last a little longer here. So let's click on this. It took 10 frames to get in here. Well, that's not bad. I'll make this 48. Just slow it down just a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got in total here. Yeah, that's a little more. Okay, so the text is sketched on. Here's the animated frame saying hello for a delayed period of time. And then she introduces herself by telling us her name, and we give her an underline for that because she is outstanding. And then we show the website for a second, fading into the construction guy who is saying hello. And once he tells us who his name is, we show that he's a timely worker by flying that clock in. Then we still fade the whole scene out. So as you can see, it just, you can keep your motion flowing and just keep building and building and building. I mean, we can just go on forever with this stuff, but the main thing here is to show you how you can start from a sketch or from a slide and continue action. You can still move stuff around. You can knock the backgrounds out of slides so that you can create these faux transitions, or just say that, okay, I'm on the slide, I go to the slide tab, I'm going to customize this, go to the first outline, I knock out the background. Because she's still on the screen, it really doesn't make any sense to do this, but as you can see, stuff like this can be done. So, not that it would make any sense because everything would be stacked on top of one another. If I had let her left the screen and then brought him in so he'd be on top of this background video, yeah, I could have done that. Or if there's a case where you need to do that, yeah, let this character animate and do their thing, and the sketching can stay if it happened before or even after, because if the animation leaves the screen, that doesn't have anything to do with taking away the sketching, which is a separate motion. I mean, this is so many possibilities, but in this case, you want this background in so that you can get that fade. That was the whole point. This is the ending of that one scene. They're using the next slide to kind of like dissolve this out and dissolve itself in. Instead of this, fading out, or instead of it just cutting across, it dissolves. So I thought that was pretty slick. So we're gonna review this one more time. Don't want to get too long-winded on this stuff because I know you want to get started playing, but I just thought I would describe some of the ways things are interacting so that you can have a better understanding of how you can do it. Because I know there's some people that like a slide that like to stay a little bit longer in this spot, a little bit longer in that spot, and this is showing you how you can do it. And even though we don't have multiple object animation, you can still kind of simulate it by knowing that the slide's internal animation can be multi-items moving. But you can't, everything happening on your work canvas is one after the other. But if you sequence those actions properly, then you can simulate multiple action, as you can see from this tutorial. So there is a lot here, everybody, a lot here. A lot of things haven't been discussed. The point of this video is you got Explaindio 2.0 now. How do you work it? How do you get into stuff? And so let me make this point abundantly clear once again, because this is where people get stuck the most. If you have a template, and you want to go in here and change the text or add pictures or video and all the other stuff you're normally used to doing, right? So once you are selected on that one frame where that animated slide is, you come over here to the slide tab. The slide tab appears when you're on the slide. If I'm just on a sketch, or on some text, then I don't get the option to customize it. I can go to my text and do the draw fill. Here's a slide right here. Now I can control its timing in the SWF panel and put pauses in up to 5. I can come to the slide, and here's where the magic is. Customize this animation, because you want to change the text and you want to put your images in and you want to add your videos and all that kind of stuff. This is where you do it. Now also for slide creators, when we're creating slides from this point forward, we need to consider that a person can turn the background off. So maybe these elements shouldn't just all be full screen all the time, or at least have some additional elements that can be pushed back and move around to take advantage of a clear canvas that might have other elements working, so just a thought. Because generally outline 1 is the background, so by turning that off, we are able to utilize the animation on the slide as a animation element instead of just an entity unto itself that takes over. So, but in this case here, I wanted the slide to have a background because then it faded out the prior action and came in really smooth, like a crossfade versus a fading down and back in, so motion continued. And then because this guy stays on the screen, but his bubble went off, then we were able to add this sketch animation to the end, so, and I didn't have this sketching, so let me just turn in sketch by hand. Oh, see, yeah, that's right. The problem was that since it starts off screen, you can't see the sketching. So it doesn't make any sense to do that. That's why I turned it off. But anyway, I think at this point we've come to the end of the video. The important part was how do you change the text in your slide, and that's on the slide tab right here. Everything's in here that you're normally used to seeing. Everything you know and love is right inside of here. Here's the import font. Just for those people that are creative and adventurous, you cannot put a TTF font directly in the fonts folder in the Explaindio program directory, because then the program will hang and crash. So what you want to do is you want to import the font, because the program has to process it so that it can work, with the program and everything. So if you want to add TTF fonts, don't put them raw in the fonts folder, because what's in the fonts folder is actually an SWF that the program, that the Explaindio Video Creator creates for itself, so it knows how to use that font. So just as a warning, I mean, you can try it if you want to. You can put a support ticket in. They're going to tell you the same thing. You have to import the font. Just go to where your TTF fonts are. Here's some of mine right here. These got from, I forgot where I got those from. But anyway, just go in here, get the one that you want that's true type, and then load that in through the interface, through the front. Okay, because then it will work. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it's not going to work. I mean, you can try all day long, but if you need to use this process here. Come to the panel and import font file. Only TTF fonts are supported. Click on the start import button and you're done. So that is what we got going on here for you people. And okay, if you come out of the canvas and you forgot to change your text, you can't move anything out here, but you can change the text. So you come over here, click on draw fill. You can also change the color so you can be seen. You can add your strong shadow. See, it kind of looks 3D when it's drawing, doesn't it? Now, so I need to move this over because, don't want to bump the clock. So I'm going to come down here, shrink it just a bit, and we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new Explaindio Video Creator 2.0, where you ain't seen nothing yet. We got a lot more to show you, and this thing can do a lot of stuff. You'll be playing all day long. Make sure that you remember you do have a family. You have to eat for your health. Okay, you just can't stay here all night long. You do have to take care of yourself. We don't want to have any reports on the news about, man or woman found slumped over his computer after playing with Explaindio Video Creator. No, we can't have that. So, but there is a lot here. It's going to take you a week, but this is just enough to, get you going and get the blood pumping and show that there is a lot of versatility out there. All those slides you bought, you was wondering, well, is it going to work with 2.0? As you can see, you can knock the backgrounds out, combine the actions, create video segments and bring them back in and do all kinds of stuff. All right, so just know that. And also, when I was talking about you want to save scenes, I wouldn't save this one as a complete scene. There's too much stuff. Is not my intro, outro. But here's where you would do it at. You can create your intro, outro as a scene. Stop right there. Then click on Export Scene, and then you can create a category if you haven't created one already, and name the scene, and then save it to your collection. So that way, when you want to bring the scene back in again, you can just bring it back in and start from there. So everything will be blank, bring that scene back in. But I need to get out of this video before I run too long. If you have any other questions, then you can post it on the Facebook group for Explaindio Video Creator, and myself or one of the other talented people out there, both slide creator and Explaindio user, can help you, because we have that kind of group. We got it going on like that. Thank you, everybody. This is Rick Neal from ProSlidePacks.com for Explaindio Video Creator 2.0. It's on, everybody.